Hey folks, given the rather dark tone of my video yesterday, which I'm sure had many of you worried, I feel that it's important that I follow it up with some of the positives about my life, sort of to assure you that not everything about my existence is doom and gloom. You might think of this as a list of some of the silver linings that I experienced. First off, had I been born as I am, specifically with quadriplegic cerebral palsy, even as little as 100 years ago, I would not have achieved anything close to the number of things I've done with my life up to this point. Because 100 years ago, and sadly even to this day, many people just don't know what to do with those who have physical disabilities. So we tend to be put off into a corner and left to languish. I can tell you that the unfortunate reality here in South Africa, particularly, is that thousands of children every year go uneducated simply because their parents, being of meager financial resources, don't know what to do with them. So they leave them in a room at home and don't do anything to stimulate their minds or to educate them. Now, this is not me condemning parents because there's no instruction manual for what a parent should do if they have a kid who's been born with any kind of severe developmental challenge. So I'm not calling them bad people. I'm just saying that the facts are what they are. I am extremely fortunate to have been born into an upper middle class family and to have been born at a time before the education system was almost entirely consumed by social justice propaganda. So, in that sense, I'm extremely lucky because I learned how to think for myself and how to evaluate the world on my own terms. If I look back at the course of my life, I've done things that most people would consider impossible for somebody with my physical disability. I have worked as a journalist. I have worked in emergency services. I've worked in marketing. And all of that might sound quite commonplace, but when you consider the fact that my parents were told when I was initially diagnosed with CP that I would never even speak, I think that it tells you a lot about what education, as well as the willingness to try things, will get you. If you're willing to put yourself out there and take a risk, even if you fail, you'll achieve things that you might not have believed you could. Probably the best example of that is the fact that I hold the rank of red belt in the Korean martial art of Taekwondo. Longtime friends and followers will know this about me, but I'll recount a bit of the story for those of you who might not be familiar. About 5 years ago now, my cousin and I live with my cousin by the way, he is my primary caregiver. We were the victims of a home invasion. And during this home invasion, I was trapped in our car outside the house for 45 minutes while the thief forced my cousin around the inside of the house for 45 minutes. Now, being a South African, and especially having worked in news and emergency services, I know how home invasions tend to go. Witnesses aren't usually left alive. So I spent 45 minutes that day thinking I was going to die. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and when that didn't come to pass, I decided that regardless of my disability, I would never feel as helpless as I had that day ever again. So I took a chance and I approached a very highly qualified Taekwondo instructor and asked if he would train me. He did, and now, several years down the line, I am much stronger and more capable of self defense than the average person would consider me to be. So I want you to know that even if you do have challenges in life, and believe me, I have plenty, that doesn't mean that life has no purpose or that there's no point in trying. In fact, trying and struggling toward a goal might actually be more meaningful than achieving that goal. Because I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but once you achieve something that you've been working towards for a substantial period of time, what is the next thing you do? If you're a normal human being, the next thing you do is to look for another goal to reach. Because the satisfaction that comes with achieving a goal is transitory and it doesn't last very long. So I think that a lot of our purpose in life is in the struggle. It is in the constant refinement and improvement of who we are, both physically and mentally. And with that, I will bid you farewell. Look after yourselves, people.